Have you ever wondered why, no matter how hard some people work, they never seem to get ahead? They wake up early, grind through long hours, pay their bills, and yet, at the end of the month, there's nothing left. Meanwhile, the rich keep getting richer, seemingly without breaking a sweat. Why does this happen? According to Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the answer is brutally simple, and most people won't want to hear it. The poor stay poor because they're playing the wrong game with the wrong rules. They've been taught to save money, chase job security, and trust the system. But what if the system is designed to keep them exactly where they are? Kiyosaki doesn't sugarcoat it. He calls traditional financial advice, like go to school, get a good job, save money, a trap, a setup, a formula for lifelong struggle. In this video, we're going to break down exactly why the poor stay poor through Robert's brutally honest lens. We'll talk about fake money, broken education, and the silent financial war being waged against the middle and lower class every single day. Because once you understand the real rules of the game, everything changes. We're told from the moment we're kids that hard work is the path to success. Wake up early, work long hours, climb the ladder, and someday you'll make it. But if that were true, why are so many people working harder than ever and still struggling to get ahead? Why is it that the janitor working 2 jobs barely gets by, while the wealthy relax on a beach collecting checks from businesses they don't even run? Robert Kiyosaki calls this the greatest illusion in modern life, the lie that hard work alone will set you free. He says, "The poor work for money. The rich make money work for them." It's not about how many hours you trade for a paycheck. It's about how well you understand the game of money. Because in the real world, labor doesn't scale. Assets do. You see, real freedom doesn't come from your salary. It comes from your assets. That rental property that sends you a check every month, the royalties from a book or a business that runs without you, that's what pays your bills when you stop showing up. The poor keep chasing paychecks. The rich chase cash flow. And here's the punchline most never see coming. The system isn't broken. It was built this way. To reward owners, not workers. Employees pay the highest taxes, carry the most stress, and have the least control. Meanwhile, the rich set up corporations, use debt, and collect passive income while the poor are stuck on the hamster wheel asking, what's the next raise going to be? If you're stuck in the cycle, exhausted and underpaid, maybe it's time to stop working harder and start working smarter. Until you understand this, financial freedom will always be just out of reach. From the moment we enter the school system, we're trained to follow orders, memorize facts, and repeat what we're told. Sit still, raise your hand, don't question the rules. That's not education, that's obedience training. And it's been that way for decades. Robert Kiyosaki calls it out for what it really is. A system built to produce employees, not thinkers. The message is clear. Get good grades, go to college, land a job, and everything will work out. But has it? Schools don't teach you how to manage money. They don't explain the difference between assets and liabilities, how to build cash flow, or why taxes punish the middle class. You graduate knowing how to take a test but clueless about building a financial future. Why? Because the system isn't designed to make you rich. It's designed to keep you in line. Get good grades and get a job sounds like safe advice, but in reality, it's a one-way ticket to the rat race. Kiyosaki's own father, a highly educated man with a PhD, followed that path. He believed in the system, played by the rules, and still ended up financially broke. Meanwhile, Robert's rich dad, the one without a college degree, became a multimillionaire by understanding money, not memorizing textbooks. The difference wasn't intelligence, it was financial literacy. The real world rewards those who can solve problems, manage risk, and build things of value, not those who can recite historical dates or pass standardized tests. Yet most people leave school believing that if they just work hard at a secure job, they'll retire rich. That belief keeps generations stuck. If you want to break out of the cycle, you have to unlearn what school taught you. Real education begins when you start asking different questions, not, how can I get a job, but how can I create income that doesn't depend on one? That's the shift. That's where freedom starts. Most people think being poor is about not earning enough. But Robert Kiyosaki says it's not about income, it's about ignorance. You're not poor because of your paycheck. You're poor because of how you think about money. And that mindset, more often than not, is inherited, passed down like a family recipe. Only this one keeps you broke. Poor and middle-class families teach their kids what they were taught. Play it safe, don't take risks, work for a stable company, and save what you can. These beliefs come from love, but they're rooted in fear. Fear of losing everything. Fear of stepping outside the norm. And while the intentions are good, the results are devastating. Generations stay trapped, living paycheck to paycheck, believing that's just how life works. The biggest gap isn't between the rich and the poor, it's between those who are financially educated and those who aren't. Most people don't even understand the basics. They think buying a house to live in is an asset. They think a new car is an investment. Kiyosaki makes it painfully clear. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take it out. That one lesson alone could flip someone's entire financial future, but it's never taught in school and rarely taught at home. Instead, we're told to be grateful for a steady job and save a few dollars in the bank while inflation eats it alive. Meanwhile, the wealthy are teaching their children how to leverage debt, acquire assets, and grow income streams that work 24/7. That's the education gap. That's the real problem. Until you learn the language of money, how it flows, how it's taxed, how it's protected, you'll always be vulnerable. Financial education isn't optional anymore. It's survival. If you want to change your life, stop blaming your job or your boss. Start upgrading your mindset. Because once you understand how money really works, everything else starts to fall into place. We're told from childhood that saving money is smart, that putting it away in a bank is the responsible thing to do. But Robert Kiyosaki says that kind of thinking is exactly why so many people stay broke. In today's world, savers aren't winning, they're losing, badly, and the game is rigged to make sure they do. The problem isn't just how much you save, it's what you're saving. You're putting away fake money. Currency that's printed endlessly, loses value over time, and gets eaten alive by inflation and taxes. What good is saving $1,000 when it buys less every year? What good is earning 1% interest when inflation is running at 5%? You're not growing wealth. You're bleeding it. Behind the scenes, the banks love savers. Why? Because every dollar you deposit can be lent out 10 times through the fractional reserve system. That means they multiply your money, profit off of it, and give you crumbs in return. Meanwhile, you feel like you're being financially responsible, but you're just feeding a machine that wasn't built to help you. It was built to use you. Now, look at the rich. They're not saving, they're borrowing. They use debt to buy assets. They acquire properties, businesses, and investments that generate passive income. Then, they use legal strategies to pay little to no tax. Debt, when used wisely, becomes a wealth-building tool. And here's the kicker, it's tax-free. You don't get taxed for borrowing money. So, while savers lose to inflation and taxes, the wealthy use leverage to scale their income and keep more of what they earn. This is why Kiyosaki says, savers are losers. Not because saving is inherently bad, but because in today's system, saving alone won't set you free. If you're still stacking cash in a bank, hoping it'll be enough someday, you're falling behind. The rules have changed. And if you want to win, you have to start playing the right game. Walk into any neighborhood and you'll see it. Brand new cars parked in front of modest homes, the latest smartphones in everyone's hands, closets packed with designer clothes bought on credit. On the surface, it looks like success, but underneath, it's a trap. Robert Kiyosaki calls it out plainly. The poor and middle class spend money on things that make them look rich, while the rich quietly buy things that make them richer. The poor chase liabilities. A new car feels like progress, but it loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. A bigger house might look impressive, but if it's not generating income, it's just another monthly burden. That flashy phone upgrade? Just another bill. These purchases feel good in the moment. They give a sense of status, of having made it. But they don't build wealth. They slowly drain it. Kiyosaki teaches that the rich focus on one thing: assets. Not the kind you brag about on social media, the kind that quietly put money in your pocket month after month. Rental properties that pay you while you sleep. Businesses that operate with or without you. Royalties from a book, a product, or intellectual property that keeps earning long after the work is done. These are the true signs of wealth, even if they're invisible to most people. The irony is, many people go broke trying to look rich, while the truly wealthy are often the least flashy in the room. That's because they know the difference between looking wealthy and being wealthy. One makes you feel good today, the other sets you free for life. If your money isn't working for you, then you're working for it, and that means you're still in the trap. It's time to stop buying liabilities that drain your cash and start acquiring assets that build your freedom. Because real wealth doesn't come from what you buy, it comes from what you build. Most people grow up being told to play it safe. Get a secure job, stay out of debt, avoid risk at all costs. And for many, that becomes the goal: a steady paycheck, health benefits, maybe a pension someday. But as Robert Kiyosaki points out, this mindset doesn't lead to wealth. It leads to stagnation. The obsession with security is exactly what keeps people stuck. I just want a safe, secure job. You hear it everywhere. It sounds reasonable, even responsible. But what people don't realize is that the more they cling to security, the more they give up control. When your income depends on a boss, a company, or the economy, you're always one decision away from financial disaster. Layoffs happen. Markets shift. And that so-called security? It vanishes in an instant. Kiyosaki says it bluntly: you don't get rich playing it safe, you get rich by being smart with risk. The key word here is smart. He's not talking about gambling your life savings. He's talking about calculated, educated risk, learning how to invest in things that create cash flow, building skills that allow you to adapt, and stepping out of the comfort zone most people never leave. The rich understand that every opportunity comes with some level of uncertainty. But instead of running from it, they lean in. They use knowledge, mentors, and experience to navigate risk, not avoid it. Meanwhile, the poor are taught to fear failure, to stay small, and to chase approval from employers rather than freedom for themselves. Security feels safe, but it's an illusion. Real safety comes from self-reliance, from knowing how to generate income whether or not you have a job. If you're stuck choosing comfort over challenge, ask yourself, is your fear of risk keeping you poor? Because in the end, the real danger isn't risk. It's living your whole life without ever taking one. Most people don't realize it, but taxes are one of the biggest reasons the poor stay poor. They work hard, follow the rules, and still wonder why they can't get ahead. Meanwhile, the rich seem to keep more of what they earn, no matter how much they make. Robert Kiyosaki calls this out as one of the silent killers of wealth. And the truth is brutal. The system isn't broken. It's built to reward those who understand how to use it. Employees pay the highest percentage in taxes. You earn your paycheck, the government takes its cut first, and you're left with what's left over. You use that to cover bills, maybe save a little, if there's anything left at all. That's the game the poor and middle class are stuck in, and they don't even know it. The rich, on the other hand, play by a different set of rules. They understand that the tax code isn't a punishment. It's a map, a set of incentives. The government doesn't tax you for making money. It taxes you for earning it the wrong way. But if you create jobs, provide housing, produce energy, or invest in the economy, the system rewards you. That's why entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and business owners often pay less tax than their employees. Kiyosaki breaks it down like this. The poor work, get taxed, and spend what's left. The rich spend, invest, and then pay taxes, if any. They use corporations, depreciation, and legal loopholes that most people have never even heard of. And it's all legal. It's all in the code. You just have to learn how to read it. If you're stuck thinking that working harder means keeping more, think again. Until you understand how taxes really work, you'll always be fighting uphill. Financial freedom isn't just about how much you make. It's about how much you keep. And that starts with learning the rules of the game the rich already know. For most people, the word debt sparks fear. It's seen as dangerous, irresponsible, something to avoid at all costs. And that fear is understandable. Credit card bills, student loans, car payments, these are the debts that bury people, month after month, year after year. But Robert Kiyosaki flips the narrative completely. He says debt isn't the problem. Misused debt is. The poor use debt to buy liabilities. They finance cars that lose value the moment they leave the lot. They swipe credit cards for clothes, vacations, or gadgets that offer no return. All of it feels good in the moment, but the cost comes later, in stress, in interest, and in years spent working just to pay it all off. That's the kind of debt that crushes people. That's the trap. But the rich, they love debt because they use it to buy cash flow. They borrow money to acquire assets, apartment buildings, businesses, oil wells that generate income. The tenant pays the mortgage. The business pays the loan. The debt is leveraged to produce more wealth. And here's the kicker, it's tax-free. Borrowed money isn't taxed, but it can still make you rich if you know what you're doing. Kiyosaki often says, "I'm a billionaire in debt, and that's exactly why I'm rich." Because while most people run from debt, the wealthy study it, master it, and use it as a financial weapon. Debt isn't evil. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can either build your future or destroy it. The difference is education. The poor stay poor because they're never taught how money, credit, and leverage really work. They're told to avoid debt entirely, when the truth is some of the wealthiest people in history used debt to build empires. If you're drowning in bad debt, it's not because debt failed you. It's because no one ever taught you how to use it. Learn the rules, flip the script, and make debt work for you. Turn on the TV, scroll through your feed, or sit through a financial seminar and you'll hear the same phrases repeated like gospel. Invest in your 401k. The stock market always goes up. Trust the Fed. Buy and hold. To most people, it sounds like solid advice, but Robert Kiyosaki sees it differently. He calls it what it really is, hypnosis. A carefully crafted script designed to keep you obedient, uninformed, and dependent. The media isn't there to educate you about money. It's there to sell you ideas that benefit the system, not you. And the system was built by the banks, Wall Street, and the government. Three entities that get richer the more you stay in the dark. When you invest blindly into a 401k, you hand your money to a fund manager you've never met. When you believe inflation is transitory, or that the Fed has it under control, you're surrendering your future to people who have no accountability to you. Kiyosaki doesn't hold back. He says the real investors, the wealthy, the insiders, aren't following the rules taught to the masses. They're not buying and holding like robots. They're moving in and out of positions, using debt, hedging risk, and focusing on cash flow, not capital gains. Meanwhile, the average person is sitting on the sidelines, clinging to outdated advice and wondering why their retirement dreams keep slipping further away. It's not just bad advice, it's deliberate conditioning. Because the more you trust the experts, the less you trust yourself. The more you obey, the more predictable and profitable you become, for them. If you want to change your life, you have to snap out of it. Stop outsourcing your financial decisions to talking heads on TV and start taking control. The truth is out there, but you won't find it in the headlines. You'll find it by asking better questions, thinking critically, and realizing that your future belongs to you, not the system that profits from your ignorance. Wake up. The game is rigged, but only if you keep playing by their rules. The cycle of poverty doesn't begin with a lack of money. It begins with a lack of understanding, and the only way out is through a new way of thinking. Robert Kiyosaki says it best. It's not about how much you earn. It's about what you do with what you earn. You can make 6 figures and still be broke. You can win the lottery and lose it all. Why? Because without financial education, money slips through your fingers like sand. Financial freedom doesn't happen by accident. It starts the moment you choose to learn how money really works. That means going beyond paychecks and promotions. It means understanding the difference between assets and liabilities, between income and cash flow, between being rich for a moment and building lasting wealth that pays you for life. Most people are stuck in a loop. Earn, spend, repeat. They chase higher salaries thinking that's the answer, but the expenses rise with the income, and they stay in the same place. True freedom comes when your money starts working for you, when your assets generate income even while you sleep. That's the difference between surviving and thriving. The good news is anyone can break the cycle. You don't need to be born rich or have a degree in finance. You just need to start thinking differently. Read the books, take the courses. Ask the hard questions no one taught you in school. Start small if you have to, but start. Because once you shift your mindset from consumer to creator, from employee to investor, everything changes. You stop living for the next payday and start building something that lasts. You stop fearing money and start mastering it. And most importantly, you stop accepting the life you were handed and begin creating the one you actually want. This is the beginning. This is how freedom is built. One decision, one lesson, one step at a time. If you've made it this far, chances are something in this message hit home. Maybe you're tired of feeling stuck. Maybe you're starting to question the things you were always told about money. That's good. That's the first step. Because the truth is, the system was never built to make you rich. It was built to keep you working, paying taxes, and following rules that benefit everyone but you. Robert Kiyosaki doesn't claim to have all the answers, but he does offer a new way of thinking. A way that challenges the lies, exposes the traps, and empowers you to take control of your financial future. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about getting smart permanently. So, if you're ready to break the cycle, start by re-educating yourself. Learn what schools never taught. Understand assets. Master cash flow. Ask yourself not how much you earn, but what you do with what you earn. Because that's what separates the poor from the wealthy. Not luck, not background, mindset. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like the video. Subscribe for more eye-opening truths. And remember, don't just work for money. Learn how to make money work for you. Your future is in your hands. Make it count.